Hello and welcome to the Unofficial Controller Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast, episode number 283 by my reckoning. With this week, me, George, joined by no other than the legendary hero of this show, myself. That's correct. And it's going to be a bit of a solo show, and I'm okay with that. Boys have pulled in some absolute flankers for me, and here we are. It's me on my lonesome. What does that mean for you? Well, it means you get to listen to just my voice and you get to hear me having semi-lucid arguments with myself. I mean, buckle in for a quick roughshod run through my mental health. Here we go. So, how do we normally kick off the show? Well, we kick off the show with what you've been playing. Well, what have I been playing? More to the point. Well, tell you what I've been playing. Again, it's been a week on the go, so it's all been a little bit Switch 2 based. And I was flicking through Instagram before the show started, and I see Harvey Retro's thrown down his love behind the Immortal Switch 2. He had a pair of hipster glasses on, looking awfully cool the way he does. He's brandishing his Switch like a freshly born bear, and he says, "I'm a Switch 2 fanatic." And I'll be honest with you, I didn't see it coming, but me too. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a flashy piece of tech. Maybe it's just the right place at the right time for me. Maybe it just currently suits the way I'm gaming, but that's where nearly all of my efforts have been spent now. That's not totally true. So let's start with the outlier. A little bit of PS5 time. Why? I'll tell you why. No Man's Sky got an update. Since that game launched, I've wanted nothing more than to be able to turn around in my ship as I'm transiting to another planet and go, I don't know, fix my air purifier or something like that, or just sit and look out the window at these beautiful vistas as my ship navigates the eternal blackness and abyss. For whatever reason, Hello Games never quite got to that point, but with this new update, they've issued what I would call a compromise. Compromise normally something where two parties agree on something of which neither are happy. But in this case, I think I'm happy. Unfortunately, although the update's free, absolutely. Now let's just get into the meat and bones of what all this is. What are you talking about, George? Well, this new Voyager's update has introduced a new ship class called the Corvette, which you can construct like a base, manipulate to make it look however you want. Now, obviously, I learned about this and went on to the internet, that wonderful place where all the wonderful things of the human race collect, and also some of the bad things. But one of the wonderful things I went looking for, I thought, oh, wow, hang on a minute, this update, people, I wonder if someone's made a ship and everything yet. Of course they have. Some of the most finest, most exquisite works of sci-fi extravaganza you've possibly seen. I'm thinking, wow, I can't wait to jump in my version of that. Brilliant. Well, George loaded up his save, and I think my save in there is currently running at, it's got to be at least 8 years ago when the game came out. So I've got an 8-year-old save on there. Could I afford to buy anything for this Corvette? No. You have to start with landing gear. So I had one landing gear. I had one habitation module slapped on top of it and a cockpit nailed on the front of that. I put a rear door on it. Now, I'll be honest with you. It looked like a kid's first attempt with a Duplo brick set. It was hideous, but I didn't really care. I wanted to fly it. Now, I referred to it being an 8-year save because I thought I thought that might help you assume that I'm quite financially viable in the No Man's Sky universe. Well, it transpires. Do you know what, George? You're flat broke, baby. Now, flat broke in No Man's Sky meaned I threw, I don't know, 8 million credits at this thing. Could it fly after that? No. It couldn't even take off. It's not finished. That's why. So I do see a little bit of a grind in there to get to that point. But to be fair, if and when I get there, that will be my Elysium in VR, especially. It's kind of what I've always wanted. So very, I'm kind of tepidly excited of finding the in-game currency to make that happen. I'm sure loads of people are listening now say, "Oh, George, you're not playing the game right. Why don't you use this spam glitch here and that weasel glitch there and do the infinite grow of flip-flop mineral there and you'll have 1 million credits in 10 minutes, George. Why are you messing around?" I've always just tore about the galaxy like a complete pirate, to be fair. I normally avoid conflict, although I'm that leveled up now. It's even Sentinels are not a threat to me, really. My little craft, which I would love to walk around in, that I've had for some time now in the game, I can't, right? I can't. It's going to get retired. But at the same token, this Corvette or whatever it is going to have to be pretty incredible to beat my exhausted Aegis, which is one of the funny things about No Man's Sky. The procedural generation not only affects the ships and the planets and the strange three-headed looking dinosaurs that you go to look at on those planets, it also affects the ship generation and the names. So there's some very weird things going on in there, but I put it down to just being all part of the fun, right? All part of the fun. What else have I been playing? Well, I've been away and I did that thing of doing 2 minutes on every game I own and not really getting anywhere on it. I think the most time I solidified was a full 20-minute bash on Witcher 3, doing a little bit more. I've got some outstanding contracts on Skellige Islands, so I've rustled off down there to see a few of them through. I'm end game level now, so hoovering up some of these low level side missions is a bit, I don't know, it feels a bit naughty, really. I walk straight up to a guy, press one hit button, I've beheaded him. No messing about. That's what they call me, the beheader. But I mean, that's where I'm at in the game. So, cleaning up some of these level 16 Naderwells is proving to be quite the easy coin. Toss a coin to your Witcher, as they say. Now, with that put to bed, I did have a little rumble out of curiosity on No Man's Sky on Switch 2. But I'm not enough. I'm not even out of training shorts in that game, to be honest with you. So, yeah, that's going flat nowhere in terms of finding a Corvette. I think I'm still in the starter ship, so that gives you an idea of. Thing is, when you've got a game going on the PS5 that you've had going for years, it kind of feels a bit counterproductive to pour effort in somewhere else. I probably shouldn't be so rigid, weird, if I'm honest with you, but that's the way I am. I'm a strange cat, and long may it continue. The other thing that I've been playing lots of, well, I've been spectating, stroke backseat gaming. Is there anything worse than a backseat driver? Yeah, I think it's a backseat gamer, which is exactly where I find myself in Rachel and I's pursuit of perfection in Persona 4. Rachel walked into a classic JRPG trope of being enthusiastically whipped up about the game's storyline, but that causes you to rush forward a little bit when you probably should have spent the last 60 hours grinding in that dungeon. And the lack of Persona is about managing the dungeon grind versus your social connections in the what's dubbed to be the real world, the non-dream world, in Persona 4, the non-TV world. And I'll be the first to admit the pull of the social links and the interdynamics and chemistry that you develop when you're not in the dungeons is the battles are rewarding. They're interesting, they're challenging, don't get me wrong. Classic leveling system running through its DNA, though, which means that if you haven't got the right level and you're trying to push forward in the game, you're going to get your arse handed to you. And I watched her sort of enthusiasm begin to wane, but she knuckled down and she got through it. Now we've dedicated to some serious leveling. So we've got the bathhouse done, Teddy's on the team, all that sort of jazz. To all those out there who've already played this probably rapidly approaching 20-year-old game, if not more. There's no spoilers here, but yeah, we're well on the way. Again, thoroughly enjoying it. It's a sit down, chill on the sofa, kind of watch what's going on, laugh at some of the social link activities or the things these kids are doing, and really just enjoy that social dynamic in a way. As frustrating it is, often in Persona, the dungeons seem to be a bit of an annoying distraction, but it's interesting to see the story through, see where it goes, and the method of which you do that is through those dungeons. So, yeah, Persona has some of the most bizarre looking enemies I've ever seen in a game. I don't quite know whether to fall in love with half of them or to ask myself, George, what are you looking at? I mean, a great example is an American looking cop with this rather sort of large looking stomach, completely hollowed out. I'm talking like you can see right through it, like a porthole. And in the middle of it, for whatever reason, he's decided to hang a key. Yeah, they're the sort of people you're dealing with. What's one of the other ones? A strange animated ball mouth. That special move is a very aggressive lick to the face, which can cause an immense amount of damage. Now, I think one of the most disconcerting enemies and ones that certainly sends a shiver up mine and Rachel's spine, not because it's well, it's pretty grotesque to look at. I'm not going to be honest. It's a it's a very weird image, but it is devastating. And it can do all sorts of weird anti spells on you. So when you hit it, you hurt yourself. I mean, it sounds like my interpersonal relationships, but it is a it's this baby that looks like it's wrapped head to toe in black in a black bag, and the black bag is formed at the top of its head, almost like a top knot, and that top knot also has flower petals on the top of it. I mean, I don't know what I'm looking at really. That's my interpretation of it. I'm sure someone's going to message you and say, actually, George, it's not that at all, mate. And you just made a complete embarrassment of yourself on a worldwide podcast. To me, it looks like a baby. And don't do this at home, guys. I don't know why if we drop these safety measures in, we feel compelled because society compels us to. So I'm telling someone not to put their kid in a black bag for a cosplay. I can't see it working out that well, to be fair. But kudos to you. You saw something that you thought you could angle and you went with it. Sadly, a black bag at a 4-hour convention in the red hot heat's probably not survivable. But as you were. So there's there's your safety guideline for today. And also a quick reminder that Persona's 4 enemies are very bizarre. But that's not, as I say, impacting our enjoyment. In fact, sometimes it sort of adds to it. Like, what are we looking at now? Yeah, so, and that really draws a line under the whole "what have you been playing" section. It feels strange when you ain't got someone to bounce off asking that question. But those that know, those that care, those that have had this almost cult-like way the show goes imprinted on their brain know that the next sign along the road is the news. We've scoured. That's what we've done. We've scoured the very darkest regions of the internet to bring you the latest stories. First up. First up is an article over on Pure Xbox by the legendary Fraser Gilbert, and it's 13 quirky classic games from the 1980s heading to Xbox in Attic Arcade. Archive, forgive me. I misspoke. Another new release that's caught our eyes, Attic Archive, which is a compilation of 13 quirky classic games from the 1980s that span the Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC, and ZX Spectrum platforms. Here are the 13 games included in the Attic Archive on Xbox. We've got I didn't, formerly on the C64 and Spectrum. It's Escape a Dangerous Toy Box as a teddy bear. Oh my goodness. Let's keep going. Arcadia for C64 and also for the ZX Spectrum. Shoot down waves as deadly attackers. Sounds a bit more normal, doesn't it? Armageddon for C64 and ZX Spectrum. Protecting cities from falling missiles. Makes sense. BC Bill for C64 and ZX Spectrum. Experience life as a cartoon caveman. Can't wait to see how realistic that gets. Am I skinning a stoat at the back door and then using its skin as a G-string? Doubtful. Gilligan's Gold was on the C64, Amstrad CPC, and ZX Spectrum. Gather Gold in a Hazardous Mine. Again, makes sense. Mutant Monty. This was another triple header for the C64, CPC, Amstrad, and ZX Spectrum. Make your way through surreal environments to find Precious Trevor. Precious Trevor. I can't really bounce off myself, but I've just got this vision now of this Precious Trevor. He's the most precious. He's the last surviving Trevor on planet Earth. Let's face it. It's not a name people are queuing up to call their kids anymore. And I don't think I'm going down that road. I'm just saying I don't hear many Trevors. There's a few classic English names that seem to be falling by the wayside. I mean, when you can't shout Brian, hey Brian over the road. Trev, hey up Trev. It's a bit of hard do, isn't it? But there you go. So anyway, Trevor is safe. Mutant Monty in the Temple of Doom for the ZX Spectrum. Delve the temple. This is their words, not mine. And grab artifacts. Straight up, no messing about. That's all we're doing this second time round. Trevor's not bothered, but we're not bothered about Trevor. Next up is Mutants, was formerly on the C64, Amstrad CPC and ZX Spectrum. Battle bizarre mutant strains to assemble a machine. These games are all going to be very similar, aren't they? Let's face it. Nomad. Well, I say Nomad, as in the travelling wanderer, but it's N.O.M.A.D. Sorry, buffering. Brain completely tripped itself up there, and I stumbled at M. That was for the C64, Amstrad CPC, and ZX Spectrum. Control an advanced attack droid to destroy a criminal tyrant. We've got Pause. C64 dipped out here because it's just for the CPC and ZX Spectrum. Rescue your kittens from dangerous dogs. Now, this game predates the dangerous breeds here, so I don't know what those dangerous dogs look like, but they're certainly not going to be those alpha whatever they are. Super Kid is for the C64, Amstrad CPC and ZX Spectrum. I mean, obvious. Become a superhero. Save the city. All while making sure your bedroom's tidy and getting your homework done. Skating USA, C60, Super Kid. It's all right as long as there's not an issue during the school hours, which case I'm going to be invariably missing during my maths exam. Skating USA, C64, Amstrad CPC and ZX Spectrum. Save the city again, this time on skateboard. Super Kid in space, C60 for the Holy Trinity, let's call it that now. Save the world from alien invasion. There's a trailer for that out on the YouTube. Go look it up. It includes various options, or it showcases in there various options such as horizontal scaling, CRT scan lines, and more, along with your ability to rewind your gameplay. Looking forward to see a little bit of that. It's coming on Wednesday, September the 3rd, so it's not out by the time you hear this show, but don't worry, you haven't got long to wait until it does. There's no price for it yet, but don't forget that Xbox allows you to wish list the games that you want. There's a little bit of a blurb here just to finish off. Originally published for the Holy Trinity. I'm not saying it all that again. These games are authentically reproduced in all their 8-bit glory, featuring classics from Ocean Software, Arctic Computing, Imagine Software, and Atlantis. Now, here below me are some screenshots. Now, the menu looks absolutely fantastic. It's a range of tapes on the shelf arranged around the usual 80s ephemera. And I'm looking at the games. And I say one thing. No modern kid is buying these. These games are all going to get lapped up by people like myself wanting a little bit of nostalgia for that game that looked like CFAX they were playing 30 years ago. More. If that's what you're looking for, this game will more than scratch that itch. And I can see you spending maybe an average amount of time in it, 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. With the backlog the way it is, I don't need further guilt by adding games back on a medium that most kids don't even know what a cassette tape is anymore. I've already got a few of those in my backlog of shame, and they're the very foundational layer. I think 20 games that I never got round to back in the day. And let's face it now, never will. But you live in hope that one day you get more than a lifetime's worth of time to sit and play through your retro tap you've collected or the shame pile that you've been building since not long after birth. Don't worry. I'm now doing the cross, the holy cross in the air. I'm forgiving all your backlog sins. Go to your backlog, literally pick the whole thing up and just chuck it on your shelf. Forget about it. Your backlog's gone. That's really what you come to the UCP for, forgiveness of your sins. And trust me, my son, it's okay that you didn't finish that PS2 game you bought from CEX 6 months ago. You're never going to play it anyway.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you like video games, then you can't miss Call Me By Your Game. It's a podcast hosted by me, Sweetie Pie, Connor McCabe, where I invite a guest to share about a special video game from a memorable moment in their life. That's right, it's baked in nostalgia. Was Persona 5 a warm blanket during the pandemic? Did Mario Kart 64 feel like a vacation? Or does Spyro remind you of that winter break with Dad? These are the types of stories told on the podcast. So call me Tetris, Half-Life, or StarCraft 2, it's up to you. Find the show wherever you get your podcasts and get ready to call me by your game.
Moving on, if you want to comment back or have a little conversation, maybe these one-man shows should go a little bit like this. I pose questions, you answer them on the Discord. George, what's the Discord? Well, if you're new here or you've not really been listening properly, we've got a free Discord. Everybody's welcome. Bring your extended family. We need to boost the size a little bit. Why not? Use it as your own communication platform between your family members. At this point, anything goes, right? So the Discord, you can go on there and fire these back at me. Like, George, why are you disrespecting the British 8-bit glory days? I'm not disrespecting them. I'm saying I've got better things to do. And that's me talking. But if you want to employ a rapid defense, you can email us at questions@unofficialcontrollerpodcast.com, or you can DM us on any of the social platforms. Word to the wise, as is well known in the Discord, I can barely turn my phone on, and the fact that we're nearly 300 episodes deep on this podcast, based on my technological understanding of anything outside of a gamepad, e.g. push X to go, is not great. So it's literally a miracle that you're hearing my voice right now. And I know all the Gen Zs have just turned off because I can't deal. This guy's obviously too old to be in technology. Come back. Come back. Give me a chance. Up next in the news, we take the news chariot very strongly in the direction of the publication known as Nintendo Life. Now, this game is not necessarily Nintendo-centric news. I know it does great guns on there, but here's one for the sat-at-home feeling not very well RGTs. Caught a bout of COVID off a dirty teaspoon in the UCP canteen that I was using to stir the cesspit, just to make sure it didn't, turn into just one big coagulated mess. Last time that happened here on the UCP estate, it crawled out and demanded time on the show. Obviously, it didn't get it, and we've now rehoused it in the East Wing, but it was a scary moment for us all. He was obviously part of us all, but the very worst parts. So if you want to imagine what that creature was like, I'll leave it with you. Drawings, please, to the Discord, or AI art of what that creature was, please. Go for it. Anyway, ramble done. Stardew Valley, which is a platform, graces every platform. I think it's probably even on my phone. I'm pretty sure I played it on the abacus in the kids' back bedroom the other day. But I got sidetracked on my ramble. I wish you well, RGT. I think he's feeling a lot better now, should be by the time he hears this, and don't touch dirty spoons. But from his deathbed, I'm sure he's playing a little bit of Stardew. He can't put it down. No one can put it down. And I think the developer, Eric Concerned 8 Barone, who's been trying to get out Hotel Chocolatier for what feels like a decade now, he's gone back to his immortal classic Stardew Valley. But let's get into it here with the official words of everything that's going on. Fans of the hugely successful farming and lifestyle sim Stardew Valley can look forward to another major update in the future. The creator, the aforementioned Eric Concerned 8 Barone, actually shared the news at the Stardew concert this week and has now followed up with an announcement on social media. In brief, a Stardew Valley version 1.7 update is happening. Words from the man himself. Okay, I revealed this at the concert last night, and now the cat's out the bag. So I'll confirm for everyone, there will be a Stardew Valley 1.7 update. No release date, no estimate, but it's happening. Fair play to you, Eric. It's pretty bold. Now, I know there's no current release date and no estimate about what and when it could arrive. It's not been revealed and what will specifically be added in this next major update. The news has already got the Stardew Valley community buzzing. Well, wouldn't it? The last big update for Stardew Valley was 1.6 update, which shuffled onto the Switch in November last year. It added multiple new festivals and events, a whole new farm type, and much more content and improvements. Following this update, multiple other patches were also released, improving and adding to the overall experience. Now, in an interview earlier this year, this is what I referred to at the top of the comment, Brome was asked about the chances of a sequel to Stardew Valley and admitted it was, at the time, it was much easier just to update the existing gameplay and systems. He also previously stated he doesn't necessarily want to close the book on the game's development, even though he's now working on his new project, Haunted Chocolatier. Tell you what, the amount of time he's spent working on that's going to be absolutely banging. I hope that he hasn't spread himself a bit too thin. He is an incredible guy who's made an incredible game, and his commitment to the further development of that, almost at his own further advancement of his other projects, I would say. But fair play to his commitment, his support of the people that have bought his title, either however many years ago or last week, is incredible. And to be fair, what does he get from free updates? Absolutely nothing. I suppose he's got to hope that enough of a buzz happens around the latest update that it creates a whole new raft of people who've never downloaded the game to download it. Or, more likely, one would imagine, he just feels he needs to keep giving to the audience that gave. I'll be honest with you, I resonate with that as someone who bangs out weekly sub-average content. One has to position oneself as a supporter of the people that support. And I have to say that Eric is doing just that. I would actually go as far as to say that the last update, with its size and scope, he could have charged for that. And don't necessarily see why he's not, but I mean, I'll be the first to call that sort of stuff out as a little bit mercenary, but I'm not against paid DLC if it is worth it. And also if it wasn't baked in at the start and it's just hidden behind some bizarre paywall unlock. Eric's not that guy. So fair play and respect. I myself have even played a little bit of Stardew Valley. Not just a little bit. I think even streamed a bit on the show's YouTube channel for a short while. It's an enjoyable game. And I got a fair bit from it, but it's not quite my kind of farming. And before Stardew Valley came along, I completely burnt myself out on historic harvest moons. So this probably has had less of a pinch for me, but still thoroughly enjoyable to see it thriving and doing really well for itself. Fair play and a good story of games goodwill development winning out over money hungry pigs. Stick that on a t-shirt. Up next, over on Push Square, Holy Trinity's Left, Right and Chelsea, baby. The immortal Sammy Barker. Yeah, he is Mr. Push Square, let's face it. And I'd like to say good friend of the show. But he's never even heard 30 seconds of this. I'll be surprised. Sammy, reach out. Gears of War reckons it's ended the console war as Reloaded tops. Buckle in for this number, listeners. 1 million players. Outrageous. Let's dig into what that's all about. More than 1 million players have tried out Gears of War Reloaded following its release across PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC earlier this week. According to the developer, a milestone means the title is ending the console war one grub at a time. We're not so sure about that, says Sammy. The player number has likely been accelerated by free upgrades on platforms where the franchise has existed before, as well as its inclusion on Xbox Games Pass. But we have to imagine full-price PS5 sales are strong, as the series is making its PlayStation debut on Sony's system. At the time of writing on the US PS Store, the remaster is currently ranked 10th on the bestsellers list, behind only Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater and evergreens such as Roblox, Fortnite and Madden NFL 26. It'd certainly be interesting to see a breakdown of sales across all systems, but we're unlikely to ever get that level of granular detail outside of estimates. Question to you, listener. Did you grab it? I was looking on the Discord just prior to recording, and I kind of get the idea that a few people have picked it up. I've played the original, haven't had a go on the remake yet, but I'm kind of tempted to give it a shot. Always had a soft spot for one. It felt new and fresh when it came out, and obviously the gameplay's remained the same here, and they've just given Marcus and his team a little bit of nip and tuck here and there, and then give the backgrounds a little bit of a clean. I've heard some sort of moans about the AI. Well, the AI existed as it was in the first game, and yeah, AI's got more advanced, but it serves the purpose. I know the grunts, the locusts are intelligent to a certain degree, but a lot of the time we just feel like you're mowing through walking maggots. And they've got the intelligence of that as well. Your teammates, people complain about their AI, and do you know what? It's a similar situation to when Ellie stands up and walks around in the middle of Last of Us and completely gives you away, but they can't see you. But if you as much as sneeze, they'll bite your throat clean out. Now, if it was a game that had come out today, I might have an opinion on it, but it's a remastered game that came out some time ago, and to be honest, you're protecting the core gameplay loop. You got to respect that. You want to play this, you want this game to feel like it did 15 years ago. I mean, this is where my internal clock's well off. How long ago did this come out? It's got to be 20 years ago, or rapidly approaching. Therefore, I need to probably readjust the timeline of what I call Persona 4 at the top of the show. It's probably a lot older than I give it credit for, to be fair. Anyway, Gears, let's focus, George. Stick with one sentence in your mouth at a time and you're going to go really far. I really like this. One has to wonder, be nice to see a comparison between this in a head-to-head with Helldivers. They've just ended the console war, George. I'm not through that dynamic. I just want to see how each other's relative games of a semi-similar nature are performing on each other's platforms. Oh, George, Helldivers is nothing like Gears. You're going through alien-feeling environments, blasting creatures of non-humanoid form in their thousands. I'll be honest, on paper, it sounds like a very similar game. It's not, and I'll be the first to say it's not. But to be fair, on the back of the VHS in Village Video, you'd be hard to pick between the two. So it would be interesting to see how each other's crossovers have performed against each other in totality and on each other's platforms. It would be really interesting to see, not to poke the console war, just to see how these just to see how this gorgeously prepared buffet is being eaten and where, really. It'd be very interesting. I did have a phone call with OG Tom during the week, and although it's wonderful that Helldivers has found its way onto Xbox, which has got to be applauded, and the Halo Cross content on it and everything wonderful. But from a business point of view, from a gaming point of view, from everyone hugging each other, from your Xbox brother ripping his t-shirt off, your Nintendo brother doing the same, and your PlayStation doing the same, and them all sort of grabbing up in a mutual mano-a-mano hug in the middle of the playground, declaring peace in our time. That's all well and good, but I don't quite understand why Sony felt compelled to put Helldivers there. Yes, it was studio-led, and they endorsed it, and possibly a little bit of an experiment, but we kind of know... I kind of expected that to come to Switch 2, to be fair. There's some big sales numbers happening there. There's a lot of momentum and trajectory from a business point of view. To me, that's the one that made the most sense. But hey, do you know what? If gamers get to experience that game, and to be fair, the initial buzz of Helldivers 2 is incredible. You won't be able to shake it. You'll be enjoying it. I'm sure there's Xbox players having their first Helldivers 2 experience dressed as Master Chief or someone out of ODST, absolutely buzzing their nipples off. And I don't blame you. It's one hell of a ride. But it kind of does it did wear thin for me. Not quickly, probably a 2-week period, which first of all, for me to get on board on a multiplayer game, and secondly, for me to commit even that amount of time to it was outstanding in its, was outstanding deference to it in itself. What a great product. Anyway, back to Gears. Never in my wildest dreams when I saw the ad hit for the 360 and got goosebumps on my arm as Mad World played in the background to what can only be described as some of the most outrageous visuals I've ever seen in my life. I do believe it was a non-gameplay footage, but either which way, I'd already seen the magazine stills and whatnot, and hearing that on mainstream TV, as was at the time, was, I'll be honest, it was something else. And like I say, I've got a lot of nostalgia for the game. I wish it really well. For me, it framed up the 360, as did sort of stars like Cliffy B, Major Nielsen, the Inside Xbox boys that we've talked about, Andy Farrant, and that was his name, and the other one. Awful creature, George. But they don't know my name, right? And yeah, a really great era, and one that I think a large people are nostalgic for. I keep seeing, for the longest time, the next wave of collectors were, not collecting for the 16-bit machines anymore. They were, and N64 had kind of been passed by. These people were solidly in the PS2 era, collecting full sets, this, that, and the other. The full set for PS2 is incredibly brave because 70% of your library you're never going to touch. Absolute drivel. Lots of bangers, but there's a hell of a lot of shelf filler on that console. Equally so, I hear people either going for PS2 and Xbox 360 full sets simultaneously, or I hear people kind of coming to the end of their PS2 collecting commitment, and then they're moving to 360, kind of mapping their historic journey across consoles that they grew up with as children. Hey, it's all about nostalgia, guys, at the end of the day. We're all just trying to reclaim that lost childhood we thought we got took from us. We took it from ourselves because we became teenagers and we didn't want to play toy anymore, so they went in the bin or got given to a younger cousin or sibling. We never really got over that. It's a deep moment, but now we're adults, we've got disposable income. We won't just buy the games that we wanted that we didn't have. We're going to buy every game for that platform that ever existed, including like Barbie's Horse Parade. It's a myriad of mediocre hunting games that came off the discount spinner on Morrison's. They're a pile of DVDs of films that even I have never heard of. If they're in the full PAL library, good luck to you, son. Now, with all that said and done, that's the news. Now, if you had an opinion on the news, as I said earlier, it would be my absolute pleasure to engage you in a spirited discourse about my humble opinion. Everyone's allowed one. They're a bit like arseholes, so I'm not going to pull you up for it, but we can have a spirited discourse about my opinion versus your opinion, then agree to settle down in belief of our own opinions and move on with our lives. And that's how that works. Obviously, while you're popping into the Discord to verbally berate me about my lack of Gears of War history knowledge, which I probably deserve, you can pop by and get involved in a myriad of activities we've got going on there. And you can say, George, but how much this costed? Absolutely, there's zero, boys and girls. You can share pictures of your ever-burgeoning collection of games. You can even, should you want to, get involved in the challenge accepted section, where every month the immortal, now Digital Monkery, takes himself off, prepares a challenge for gamers to rise to. He's a bit like Norris McWhirter throwing down record-breaking challenges left, right and Chelsea, and the UCP community pick it up and slap him around the face. Now, I did see that it's been a bit of an upset, challenge accepted world, because a bit of an outsider, certainly in a challenge accepted scene in Retro Ed, suddenly mantled to the top tier position, has took home a prize. Wow. Winners attract winners, don't they? Because the very same week, he won a contribution prize for his efforts in the clip quest that we ran for the YouTube Shorts to promote the show. I'm absolutely flat broke. And don't worry about me. The show is there for you, and the show will always be there for you, and we'll always do what we can to make sure everyone gets a share and a turn in the barrel. It's what we're about. It's not everyone wins a prize at Sports Day. It's more like pass the parcel.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Ever wondered what a rhythm-based stealth game with dinosaurs might look like? Or a farming sim in space with zombies? Welcome to the Gaming Blender podcast. I'm Matt, and with my co-host Scott, we take a random game genre and random game mechanics, blend them all up, and pitch wild, totally hypothetical games you've never heard of, and maybe shouldn't. New episodes every other week. Hit play and unleash your inner game dev. No coding required. Search the Gaming Blender on your favorite podcast app now.
With the sweets in each layer. So it is a bit like everybody wins a Sports Day. But do you know what? Heck it, we're inclusive. We're getting ready for the next wave of youngsters coming through. We're ahead of our time, some could argue. This ancient cult status podcast run by a decrepit Gen Xer is preparing for the new wave of listeners. And that's by offering contribution prizes. Don't tell me I don't know what the future looks like. Anyway, feel free to come join in if you don't want to get involved in the games, if you don't want to post screenshots of your latest acquisitions. There's even a section where you can post pictures of what you've ate or your pets. Those two aren't mutually exclusive, by the way. If you want to show me a picture of the pet you just ate, I'll let you work out what section of the Discord you want to put it in. Either pets or culinary delights. I think it fits in both brackets, if I'm honest with you, but I'm not here to tell you what to do. There's a joke section, there's a meme section, GIFs, all that good stuff that you young geezers and what's the opposite of a geezer? Is it a bird? Oh, it doesn't feel very progressive, does it? That's why I'm going to stick to it. So all you geezers and birds out there can post up pictures of whatever the hell you like. There's general discussion where people generally get together and discuss the life of the universe and everything. Normally games. This is Discord for a gaming website podcast after all. But there is also the Unglorious section. What's that, George? Well, if you are a supporter of the show financially, and we don't ask for a lot, on a monthly period, you ask for $3, you have wasted more than that. So so many times that we have been feeding you content for 5 years, every week without fail, within reason. That's worth £3 a month, isn't it? You're like, oh, well, George, but is it worth it? Yeah, because you're going to get a t-shirt for your offering. So hang on a minute. When have you been able to walk in Primark and spend £3, get damn near 300 episodes of a podcast and a free t-shirt? It doesn't even happen. And I tell you one thing, actually, I can't vouch for this. I don't 100% know that t-shirts are child labour friendly. But let's say there's a 60% chance that some of the garment that we are issuing has had some form of inappropriate employment conditions around it. Look, I can't be everywhere all at once, and they're a good t-shirt. Right? It is what it is. As far as I'm aware, we're safe. We're clear. We're clean. We use a local company for the printing. Comes up fantastic. If also you're listening and you don't want to maybe give on a monthly basis or a one-off basis, and you just want to get a little bit of a t-shirt of your favourite show, we've got rapidly approaching more designs than I can shake a fish at. I've never tried to shake a fish. I wouldn't like to imagine how many designs I can or can't shake at. That's a metric of measure I think we'll never know. We'll never know what it truly means. But if you just want to grab a t-shirt, fine. If after listening to all of this, you don't want to do anything, and you want to continue being a free listener, and damn it, George, bring me my show, you piece of dirt, on a silver platter right now, consider it done. Just by listening. Just by listening, you're doing enough. But if you want to step to the next level, God damn you, you beautiful human being, I love you so much. And to that end, every single person that contributes gets to have their name read out on the show. Now, probably not always in the way they expect their name to get read out on the show, but in the spirit of the show, that's how this is going to go. Okay, so God, I'm desperate for a co-host next week. Have I still got OG Tom's phone number? Subtle foreshadowing. Yeah, I have. I wonder if he's still got the same phone. We'll see. Anyway, you didn't come here for gaming news. You didn't even come here to find out what I've been playing. And you certainly didn't come here to find out what the Discord's all about. You came to this section of the show to hear me read your name out. So here we go. Up first, he is the one man George fan club. He's the 50% championship winner of UC Clip Quest. An all-round good guy, Carlos. Up next. Now, the other day, I was skirting around on the internet, and I stumbled across a Nigerian prince offering me a fair share, more than 50%, Burj Khalifa. All he needed, because he had fallen into some financial difficulty, was literally £1,000 from me, cash sterling, no questions asked. So I am also the proud owner now of a 51% stake in the Burj Khalifa. I don't think that's my wisest financial investment. But if you do want to make a wise financial investment, then you should look no further than Firm Returns over on X. Now, he calls himself Firm Returns, but for Clip Quest, he appeared naked from the waist up, juggling what can only be described as the healthiest set of balls I've ever seen in a man's hands. If he's that safe with a pair of balls, you got to imagine your money is safe in Rich Returns' fingers. Trestles, New York, one of the finest eateries down in Queens, also home to the show for some time during our New York period. We thank you for your support, and your kindness, and your love. Back up is this man has been integral to the show. This man, and I want this to go down in the history of the UCP, this man was the first person to ever email the Unofficial Controller podcast. Some would argue he's the last, but let's not get that in. Let's not let that get in the way of the glory this man deserves. It's Roast Space Monk. Up next, everybody stand up, son. Prego, everybody sit down, sir. Tanti bellicossi, bada bingster. Tanti bellicossi, stammi bene, buongiorno. That was the immortal Italian stallion, Bada Binkster. Up next, a man that needs no introduction, and it's about time his good lady wife knew. So position your Bluetooth speaker within earshot now, Tingle Tuner. As I say, now, obviously we talk about great men. I have to admit, probably one of the greatest men I've ever met or had the privilege of sharing company with is this man, Tingle Tuner. Every time I see him, his name, a picture of him, his reflection in the surface, I feel compelled to throw myself at him. And it's not just his looks. It's not just his humour. It's his intelligence, his compassion, and his care. If I could secure myself a moment with his loins, it would be a moment that would live with me for the rest of my days. His wife has to be the luckiest human on planet Earth. God bless you, Mrs. Turner. I did a faux pas. That was all perfect until I called her Mrs. Turner. In fact, her name's Mrs. Tuner. Yes, they were named after the cannery his parents run that burnt down in a rather hideous fire. Who would think wet fish could be flammable? But it was. Hence, he now wanted to drop that from his name and just refer to himself as Tuna, which sounds like fish. He died. When you've got no one to bounce off, it's a hard gig. I hope you're still with me. Up next, Digital Monkery, one of the sheriffs of the Discord. He's there a little bit like Wild Bill Hickok, I suppose, running up and down roughshod on the outskirts of UCP towers, making sure no infractions are going on the Discord, because I'll be honest with you, many people control their Discords by putting bounties on people wanted dead or alive. DigiMonkey just wants them dead. So behave. Up next, this man you would think is follically challenged and the rider of boards. But what I think you find is he is. Up next, I've been arguing against it. I've been railing against it. I don't know why. I see an establishment and I just want to bring it down. But now I realise going brown is Bo Blober's inner calling. Thank you to you, sir. He's the other sheriff of the Discord. He's more of a lean back in his chair with his spurs on the table kind of guy, smoking a cheroot, waiting for it to kick off in the saloon so he could wander down there and smash some heads. He's not a proactive sheriff. He's more of a responsive one. Either way work. They complement each other like chalk and cheese. Actually, no, that's not right, is it? Red and white wine. When you spill some red on the carpet, you pour white all over it. Job done. You pour some white all over the carpet. White carpet. You probably get away with it. But logic dictates you've got to pour red all over it. But then you've got to get a bottle of white to pour all over the red. But hang on, what gets white wine out? Red wine. Pour red wine on it. hang on a minute, they've got red wine now. What gets red wine out? White wine. You can see where this is going. I spilt some red wine in one of the annexes of the mansion 10 years ago. It's now 6 foot deep in amalgamation of vinegared wine. But one would imagine underneath I've got a crystal white carpet, almost like a Maldives beach underneath that rippling blue sea. I haven't been down there for a while. It's probably re-fermented and got rats swimming in it. That's the perk of having more rooms and scents. Next up, where did that come from, George? I don't know. Hopefully you're enjoying this one-man journey into what's called madness. Up next, my red-headed stepson. Just because he's got red hair, does it mean I love him any less? Just because he's my stepson, does it mean... No, absolutely not. This absolute beast of a man could rip every single human being apart with his little finger. Does he choose to? No. That's because he's a merciful God. Keep it up, Ginge. Love you. Next. He's a man that flirts with horror. He's a man that takes a stroll through a graveyard at midnight because he likes the ambience. He's a man that has a dry ice machine strapped to his back so he can always arrive in a situation looking impressive. He is the Lord of Darkness, one part of Enigmatic Productions over on YouTube. Absolutely rip-snorting heroes over on YouTube, and very honoured that they would take 5 minutes out of their day to even look or listen 2 seconds of this content. So thank you to Harvey Retro. Up next, the immortal Emma Sharp for confirmation. She's back in the UK, leading a normal life after a global success promoting the show. Thank you for that, Emma. Up next. Now, there's been a lot of conversation forward and backward about where Berlin is and where nowhere near Berlin actually is. Well, wherever it is, I tell you where it's nowhere near. Berlin. Up next, you gotta love her. It's the immortal Mumsy. She's the spiritual Mumsy to us all, the ones that called us down for dinner right in the middle of the game loading for us to come back up and realise it failed on line 30. Literally hadn't even got out the room to descend for our fish fingers and ketchup sauce before the game had up-yawsed and crashed within seconds. Up next, it's the RGT fan club. No talk of how many members, but the fact they're amassed into a club certainly means there's more of them than my one-man army. But when you've got a one-man army, you don't need anybody else. The RGT fan club, fair play to you. Thank you for contributing. Thank you to all of you. You tightwads, independently, getting together to pay in a group. I hate this guy. Up next, Pete Brocklehurst. He's a man that plays keepy uppies with cannonballs. Billy Marmite, a guy that you love to hate, if I'm honest with you. Bloke's an absolute menace to society. Up next, Simon Pryke, a good friend of the show, an absolute hero. And last, but my no means least, and let me just prepare myself for this. I'm not 100% sure how to deliver this solo. In fact, there's the inspiration I needed. I'm going to deliver this the same way I would if I was doing a solo. A little bit fast and loose. I know exactly where I need to go to get where I need to go. So it's just a bit businesslike. And it's thank you for that. Everybody that contributes, as I said, don't feel like you have to. But if you do, we are immensely grateful for what you do. And if you drop off, don't wake up in the morning thinking George will hate me. George never hate any of you. You've given more than we've ever deserved. But if you want to become the next victim on a long list of broken hearts, please feel free to click the link at the bottom of the show in its audio form. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever, there's a little link there going to take you to a secure site run by our podcast hosting platform called Buzzsprout, where you can give between $3-10 a month as a one-off or until you see fit. I encourage people to get on at the lowest level, to be fair. I mean, super amazing to the people that are super generous, and it blows me away. And let's take a moment while I'm here on my own to say that 280 some odd shows, 5 years. There's obviously been some ups and downs behind the microphone in many different ways. But I'd like to think we've always been consistent for you guys. We've always smashed out a relatively good show. One would probably argue after listening to all of this whether this qualifies. But if this show exists for no other reason than for me to say to you all, and I hope you can hear the genuineness when I say this, thank you. I started this show out of a dark place, to be fair, not with malintent, but to try and move me to a slightly brighter future. I hope that along the way I might be able to entertain a few people with my ineptness and make them giggle at my lack of knowledge about video games. But do you know what? We've got through it. And the show's become way more popular than I ever envisioned it could be. It's not exactly true. Anyone who starts a podcast like to imagine they're Joe Rogan tomorrow. But in this day and age, is that ever going to happen? It's doubtful. But, if you guys believe in it and you believe in me, feel free to share it. Feel free to spread the word wherever you hear it. None will ever get turned away. We try not to be too offensive. Doesn't mean we sail this line. We're a little bit naughty at times. The show was PG at one point in time, but anyone that was listening then with young kids in the car, they're at uni now, and I'm sure they've heard an innuendo or three. So although it's not an absolute swear house round here, we have relaxed things a little bit, and we hope the adult audience can enjoy it more. If you want to push to PG, if you were like, my goodness, George, that was the only place I could go where I didn't hear an inflammatory word, maybe we should move back to it. I don't know. But I don't think we're hurting anybody. I don't think we're super offensive. Try and put a little giggle or smile on your face. And like I say, guys, the fact that we get listeners, unbelievable. I'm just a guy sat in my pajamas talking into a microphone. The fact that we get people want to support us in what we do, which is why we try and drive all of it back into giving back with the prizes and the T-shirts and the fridge magnets and all of it. You're giving so we can give. Yes, we do put some of it into the production and preservation of the show now. We have quite the back catalogue, and maybe we could ditch some of it. I don't know, but to me, it all forms one coherent piece of work. Like, yeah, you're probably not going to go back to episode 2 and listen to the news, but you know what? The lore kind of means you got to, and you got to love this show for the lore. Sometimes I think that some of the inside jokes are a little not inclusive to a new listener, but I think there's enough face value stuff for you to get what you need while you, if you want to, investigate the history behind some of this drivel, or alternatively, just want to jump on now and from what you know, your sort of AC BC crossover is here, and you don't care about what happened before Christ. You just care about what happened after him, right? Whatever. Either which way, I think that's a long-worded, rounded way of me saying I'm very grateful. But if you've enjoyed this in any way, and you can't financially contribute, just share the living wheels off of it. And that's more than fair payment. Anybody who's been almost Pavel dog-liked by this 280 some odd episodes of this show know that George does his intro, normally humbles himself, derides himself, and pushes up his co-host, elevates him on a platform. He then does the what you've been playing section. They then do the news, where they scour, I would say, the darkest corners of the internet, but they're not that dark. And Then they normally talk about something meaty in the middle or expand some of the new sections. Yes, yes, George, we know this. And then you read our names out. Yes, yes, George, we know that you do that. Yes, we've heard all our names. And it was a sub to average, let's face it, it was below mediocre Zangief, but we'll let you get away with it. There'd be not a lot of back pressure there today. So it just came out as a bit of an air ghost, if I'm honest, and a bit of a fucking Keith. My lip quivered, so obviously he did something right, and I think my toes curled. So it might not have been the most explicit one, but it certainly felt it. Anyway, now that we've Zangiefed all over the place, we can move to a place where I ask myself what I'm hoping to play. Now, what am I hoping to play? Well, sadly, I got a little bit more travel and hotel rooms ahead of me this week. So, I'm on a worldwide tour promoting the show. Let's not let the truth get in the way of a good story. Absolutely. Around 1,000% that's the reason. So I'll be taking the Switch 2 with me. Rachel's probably going to think, that's not very good, because she's not going to be able to play any Persona 4, but you snooze, you lose, babe. I'll be taking that with me. I keep meaning to take the Portal, but these hotels I go to, I cannot. And this is the sort of foible of the Portal, because I would have took it with me and the Switch prior to the Switch 2 coming out. But I'm always like the internet's not good enough in UK hotels that I stay in for it to really function properly. It's a bit spotty. And I think I might have to do something with my home setup because, even it's been a bit patchy lately. I was playing No Man's Sky and I wanted to turn on the heel and the game froze, and then all of a sudden, because impatient George kept hammering the controller, the guy was locked in the 360 for some time, pirouetting like a Russian ballerina. If anyone had witnessed that, what the hell's this dude doing? Probably smashing grapes in a French white vinery. So I'll be taking the Switch 2. Probably just gonna, when I get in on a night time, probably just gonna end up settling into a bit of Witcher. I'm quite keen now. I really wanna get stuck into the DLCs. I've heard nothing but good things about them since the day they launched, and yes, I'm late to the party. And I suppose my critique of Witcher 3 is it's a great game. I don't think I'd ever slap a 9 or a 10 on it. No, but maybe an 8, I think. Probably if I played it on launch, maybe get a fresh boost, get to a 9. So, who am I to talk about? Who are you to rate games, George? You're a blithering half-wit. You're right. But you know what? Anyone with a microphone seems to have a valid opinion these days. For whatever that's worth, there we are. But one thing I can't hold against it is the enjoyment factor that you get from it. Graphically at times, even running the Switch 1 port, there's moments where you just see some incredible vistas, attention to detail to lots of nooks and crannies that kind of make it a very grounded, believable world. And that's a world that I enjoy being in. On honeymoon, I even picked up the first Witcher book. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the amalgamation of short stories. And, I actually quite enjoyed that. And the universe is great. So there'll be a little bit of that. I've been thinking about, I thoroughly love SnowRunner. It's no surprise to long-term listeners of the show that I do a lot of geeky, weird stuff. And one of them is either farming simulators or multi-terrain driving delivery simulator games. Yeah, that's the guy that sadly just had an opinion on Witcher 3. You got to wonder if it's valid or not. As I say, probably not. And I've been thinking about downloading the original Spin Tires game, or the original that us console gamers could get hands on in Mudrunner. I've got it for PS4, and I find it to be, or PS5 or PlayStation, let's say, is a more colloquial term to phrase it up these days. And the same on the other side of the fence, Xbox, right? You know, with all the backwards compatibility that's going on. Might as well just call the whole platform Xbox at this point. The same for PlayStation. Anyway, Mudrunner, in its bleakness, in its lack of hand-holding, in its kind of, yeah, here's your vehicle, barely really even going to tell you your controls panel, and that there finger point is roughly the direction you're going to need to go in, but that's as far as we're going to help you. And if you go straight in that direction, you're going to plunge off a cliff or into some deep quagmire of mud that you can't successfully navigate. So you've got to pick your routes and you've got to get through. There was something in its innocence and crudity. Crudity is not a word, although I just invented it. Let's get that on a t-shirt, right? Crudity. Yeah. And you tried to rate Witcher 3, George? Yeah. All right, mate. I think we'll see what IGN say. They probably agree. Anyway, that probably draws a line under the sort of gaming activity. I'm flirting with downloading a 10-year-old game. Yeah, that's right. Even though I have its sequel. Sort of strange cat that I am. I forget its name now. Something Afternoon, was it? That sort of Yakuza 2D game that I'd sort of discovered and have been playing. Really just incredible attention to detail in terms of the pixel art and animation. Honestly, more animation rounds and frames attached to that character than I have ever seen attached to a character before in a 2D game specifically. You can take your coat on, off. You can squat down, have a cigarette. You can stand up having a cigarette. You can throw the cigarette away. You can pull your gun out. You can do this. You can do that. You can lean against the wall. I mean, you can lay down in bed. You can get up. You can do this. You can do that. Is it Fading Afternoon? I think it's called. I have to admit, it's a bit disadvantaged by its art tile on the Switch too. It doesn't really do it good justice, in my opinion. I don't quite know what its Steam tile looks like on the Steam Deck OS, but yeah, I think it's the same, but I just don't really feel like it matches the game that well. But all that by the by, underneath is a game I'm still curiously trying to figure out, if I'm honest, just trying to piece together how you play this thing. It's not handholdy at all. Like I got sort of pushed or eventually stumbled in the general direction of what I believe to be like a Yakuza HQ. And I really kind of, after all that, didn't really get too much direction other than there was a bit of a guy hanging around in the pachinko place. Pachinko's a Japanese. You get them in the UK, but it's basically a bit of a gambling machine, really. But you put things in at the top and they bounce through, and it's a bit like a pegboard, but like a very futuristic version of it. I think it's completely random, although there may be some skill involvement, but I don't know. You can play the same ones in Yakuza Like a Dragon series. But there's no one there. And I've been to this pachinko morning, noon, and night, and walked and tried to interact with everything and everyone in there. And I've drawn a bit of a blank. So I've been kind of going to my hotel room. But I'm burning through cash, and you have to pay for your hotel room. Because one of the things I did read when I was kind of giving this game a bit of a cursory research, because I literally knew nothing about it, was that if you don't pay your bill, you end up homeless. Yeah, I've also noticed that I've got up a couple of mornings and didn't realise that shaving in-game was a thing in a 2D side-scrolling RPG beat-em-up lifestyle simulator. That, hang on a minute, have I got stubble? Went into the bathroom, pressed action and down, the guy picked up his electric razor and buzzed it off his face. That's the level of detail we're talking about. And that's why I hope you can imagine why I'm finding it very difficult to play, because there's so much going on, and I want to maybe look at a guide to maybe give me maybe a rough idea of how to push this forward, but at the same token, I kind of don't want to look at a guide. I think the only thing I can lay my hand on where I may have made a mistake, and not even a mistake, but just not chosen to indulge the tutorial, if you could even call it that, was I got told to buy a gun from a pawn shop. Not that kind of shop. Yeah, the place where you take things that you want to exchange for cash. That kind of shop. And that this underhand character had guns under the table, that sort of place. And I purchased a gun. This feels like it's positive. But on the way in to the shop, I passed a couple of ne'er-do-wells, and it did flash up. If you want to attack another gang, you press this, and this is how it happens. Classic me. I was like, head down. I need to get to the shop and do this. And now I've been back since, and they're not there. And you got to wonder, was that the game's way of like, this is how you fight people, and he never did that bits. And I don't think it's that linear. I don't think it's not, because that means I've just sandwiched myself there's no way I've just sandwiched myself in a non-end game making position. I can't believe it. I refuse to believe it. So I guess I just need to keep visiting all of the places even more until I find a little bit of evidence. One has to say it's certainly got a subtle nod to Yakuza. When you leave your hotel and turn right, not left, the screen kind of goes into a pseudo 3D, almost isometric viewpoint of the similar area to Japan to which Yakuza's based. It's kind of looks a bit like real life, but isn't ever pertained to be that place. But it's pretty close, to be fair. Sega, Ryoga Gatu, it's pretty damn close. I use it as a never going to get to go to Japan, might as well play Yakuza kind of holiday simulator. There's a section where you walk the riverside, and it's got these very distinct bridges over and these very distinct shops along this very distinct double-tiered, almost terraced path. And that's in this 2D game. But they've had to kind of spin the perspective a little bit so you kind of know what you're walking along. Absolutely nailed the aesthetic of it. Very, very good. The details, as I say, everywhere, literally exemplary. And I do believe this game, much like Stardew, for the most part, is a one-man production. And it's the levels of detail that some of these one-man indie small developers or very small teams go to. It's literally astounding. Anyway, with enough of my praise for the gaming industry, I guess really that means I've hit a point in time where I'm all out of words. As I say, a little bit of an emotional moment during the show. Hope that didn't turn too many of you off. I know you normally come here for I assume you come here for my bizarreness, strange opinions and takes that probably don't hold up in the face of logic, and just emotional ramblings, really, if I'm honest with you. But here we are. I'm all out of words, and that's all we have time for this week, listeners. Always thank you for your time and look forward to the pleasure of speaking to you again next week. Until then, happy gaming, and remember, there's nothing wrong with being given the unofficial controller. It's what you do that counts. See you, George. Yeah, see you, mate.